Hello, Rain. This is Fam Electric Ghost. Line?
Hello. Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So finally, we got it after we used to be on a different platform, and now we're on a new platform. But we're talking to you again, so it's great to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
So just give a little preface to everyone. This is Fam Electric Ghost. I interview indie artists from around the world. I used to be on an app called Spearman, but they kind of moved into doing video podcasting capabilities and went away from doing the audio. So I found Anchor. Actually, they actually told me about it, and I've been continuing my interviewing on this platform, and it's been pretty good. We've been doing a lot of interviews this year. One of the cool things about this platform actually is a true podcast platform, and it publishes to Apple, Radio Public, and maybe 7 other podcasting apps. So that's good. It's pretty cool. And then it also has the ability to include as segments your artist songs on Apple Music or Spotify. So any of the songs you have on Apple Music or Spotify, I can actually add as a segment to this podcast.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
it actually has a link to directly to Apple Music or Spotify, so you'll get the credit for those plays, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's actually really cool.
Yeah. So let me get into like what you've been doing since the last time we talked.
So, oh my God, my life has been crazy since we last talked. A single since we last spoke. It's called Make Me. It's been doing pretty well. It's actually, I'm a finalist in the Unsigned Only competition right now with that song, which is very exciting. I'm building my show and I'm in the studio every single month. So I have a lot of new stuff coming out.
So you're actually putting together an album, or you're just doing singles?
I think I'm doing singles right now, singles with videos.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, that's where when I first found you. Like you were doing lots of YouTube videos, and you had some really good videos from your material
Thank you.
back in 2017. Um, so I know like one of your newer songs is like "Make Me," right?
Yeah.
And then you did a remix of "Like We Used to." Is that a remix or is that old?
Yeah, it's from last year, but it's funny that you said that because I actually a single with the person who uh in coming up soon.
Oh,
So it should be in the next couple months.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you were in Greece, right? Last time I was trying to interview on Experiment, we were having all kinds of trouble, and you were going to Greece, right? If I was right.
Yeah. I was actually writing for another artist in Greece. It was a life-changing experience. I want to go back so badly. And it was amazing. We just wrote every single day for hours and hours. It was fantastic.
Can you tell everybody who you were writing for, or you got some contractual obligations?
I can say I was working with Ace Jacks. He's a Greek DJ. He's doing really well, and he's actually touring China right now.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Do you think you'll ever like guest on his shows or show up where he's playing?
I have no idea at this point. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know when you work with somebody that can happen. But that's cool. So yeah, you've been doing a lot of work since the last time we talked. I know. Yeah, we're going through a lot of stuff. You know, I've gone through some stuff myself, but uh, yeah, it's just a process. You know, of being an artist, where you go from one year to the next. But it sounds like you're feeling really good that you're in the studio a lot. So that must be, you know, as a creative person, that must feel really good to do that.
It's life changing, honestly, because I've been writing since I was 11 and I've written hundreds of songs, but getting them done professionally has always been, well, it's expensive. You know, it's a business, it's a lot to do it the way I want to. So it's amazing to be in the studio twice a month now. I have so many songs and I'm dying to get them out.
So are you getting support from someone to be able to do that?
I'm working with lots of different people right now. I'm working with a collective called the AMAG Collective, and my manager is a part of that. Um, his name is Mike T, And I also have been working with a couple different labels. I've worked with PM Recordings, and right now I'm working with Bonfire Records from the States. So yes and no. A lot of it's self-funded though. It's a lot, but it's amazing.
Yeah, I've never been able to get. Well, I had almost some false starts to be able to do some studio work in Boston, but I'm kind of a recording geek. I have my own home recording studio that I've kind of built up over the last 10 years, and I'm always buying new stuff. So I'm kind of a like I would love to go to a pure studio, but I do have a lot of equipment, so I kind of just am able to do what I want when I want. But yeah, it would be cool to actually go to each studio has a different feel. If you go, you ever seen the movie Sound City, and there was this whole thing with Dave Grohl. He's searching out like a classic Neve board, which like is an old soundboard that like Fleetwood Mac recorded Rumors on. Um,
Oh, cool.
and it had like a sound quality, was a full analog soundboard created by this genius guy named Robert Neve. And Robert Neve was kind of like Robert Moog. He was like this genius electronic inventor. But unlike Moog, who built the synthesizer, he built these really awesome mixing boards that have this quality that like nobody else has, because they have a lot of classic albums like Tom Petty, like Damn the Torpedoes was done on it, Rumors was done on it, and there's a certain quality to those to his recording board, which was like unlike any other board. He went and found it and put it into his own studio.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a whole movie called Sound City. It kind of talks about the old school like nature of like recording on these old boards, and this being one of the more famous mixing boards back in the day. It was in this like kind of dilapidated studio, but the studio created like awesome records. And there's like a lot of awesome records that were recorded there, because it just had the sound quality to the mics, to the preamps, to everything that you really can't get from other boards. And
Wow.
that's kind of the reason why you go to studios sometimes, is because they have mixing boards or they have capabilities like that. The recording engineers are just like, they kind of give a good premise to the people who've been just using Pro Tools or FL Studio. If you watch that movie, you kind of see why you would go to the studio.
It's true. Although right now, like I've been in a whole bunch of different studios, big and small, but a lot of it, even in the fancy studios, they're all done on the computer. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like the times have just changed, which is crazy. But I love like obviously with good equipment, but a good home studio. I like the home feel where I can feel relaxed and kind of feel comfy, especially if I'm there for hours. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, the more recording studios, I'll have more preferences, I guess.
Yeah, you just, if you get to the Record Plant or Electric Lady, or you get these famous ones like Olympia and in like London, there's certain studios like Abbey Road Studio. Everybody knows that one, the Beatles studio. But Electric Lady was Hendrix's studio. And there's certain things about like there's certain people that still like to use the old analog stuff. It's more in the underground.
Yeah.
But there's a certain quality to running like tape and doing stuff on tape versus the computer, that if you ever get a chance to go to a place that's doing tape, you'll kind of hear a big difference. But yeah, it's just something I'm moving toward myself, just because there's a whole group of people that want to hear stuff like that now,
Yeah.
and they're kind of going the other way. And so
Well, just like records are back too, right?
yeah, it's kind of like the people who want the vinyl also want to know
Yeah.
that if something's on vinyl, that it was recorded like on analog tape. So it's like the other step to it.
Okay.
But yeah. So can you talk about any of the new material that's going to be coming out, like in detail?
Yeah, so I can talk about my next single. I'm working out all the details right now. It's called Not Lose You. It's the most it's interesting. It feels the most me of anything I've released so far. Like I've been writing forever, and I play the piano, and it's just a slow, super sad piano ballad. And it's weird that I haven't actually released something like that because I'd say over half of my songs are that way. So I'm really excited. And another exciting thing about it is in the video, there's going to be dancing. And a lot of my fans don't know, but I'm actually a professional dancer and a dance choreographer. I've choreographed like hundreds of routines and taken them to competition. And I don't know why I haven't used it yet. So I'm really excited for this song because it feels like really, really showing a different side of me.
Yeah, I think I remember you had you had sent me. I think you had pushed some like small clips of you playing piano when your father was sick. I remember that you would have done that. I think you had talked about how you like to play piano, but you hadn't really put it on record. Um, that sounds really cool. That's what you're doing with this record.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so I mean, so when's the video gonna show up on the YouTube? Is it gonna come ahead of the track?
I think they'll come out at the same time. Everything's being finalized right now. It should be coming out the single and the video in September. I do have quite a few collabs happening right now too, though. So I'm trying to. There's a lot of business stuff going on, making sure things don't come out at the same time.
Oh, so you're trying to space it
Especially
out.
when you have a lot.
So is a lot of this stuff gonna come out in 2018, or is it gonna get pushed to like 2019?
I think there'll be at least there will 100% be Not Lose You in 2018, and there might even be another one as well. And then there will definitely be a collab that will be coming out in September too.
Okay, cool. So you're really you got a lot of things going on. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy time right now.
So are you gonna be still? Are you gonna be doing any like shows? I know you had said you'd done some shows at some point, some like related to like well, I don't know if it was vegetarian or green or something you told me about.
Vegan.
Vegan, yeah, vegan festivals. Are you gonna be doing any shows?
Yeah, so I'm developing my show right now. I have done quite a few shows, but right now I'm trying to build like more of an experience. So it's a lot of work. I don't want to say too much because
Okay.
it's still in the works, but I'm planning a pretty big show right now, and I am actually just planning vegan again, but a vegan like concert series, and I have pretty big support on that, so
So,
that'll be pretty exciting as
so
well.
when you do a show, are you gonna have like a full band backing you up? Are you gonna play piano? Are you gonna do like your own choreography? How much of that can you tell us?
It kind of depends on the venue. Um, so it's hard. I'm gonna have different options where I will have dancers. I will 100% play piano sometimes in every show I do.
Okay.
Um, and I usually have a DJ slash a drummer that always comes with me. Um, it's kind of cool. He makes the drums into electronic sounds as well as actual drums. But it looks like he's playing the
Oh,
drums.
that's cool.
So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's cool.
He's amazing. I've known him a really long time. So he always comes with me. And then I kind of just, depending on the size of the stage, I add like extra pieces depending.
That's cool. So yeah, because some folks, today and I don't, some people operate like DJs and they only bring like FL Studio or they'll bring like their Mac and maybe a DJ with some kind of board or some kind of sequencing type of tool. Um, but it's cool to actually have like pianos, and I'm a big proponent since I'm a musician of actually seeing people actually play.
Yeah.
Just because I'm kind of from back in the day when I would go see a concert and people actually played instruments.
Yeah, it's rare now.
Yeah, and it's kind of like when I go to a club as the ghost. Sometimes like I'll show up with my 5 road cases and they're like, "How come it's not just a Mac?" Because I'm actually gonna play.
It's like
Well,
what
yeah,
instruments?
it's like I need a sound tech. I got to come like an hour early. I actually have to set up and I have to play. And it seems like a lot of clubs are like just used to people just hooking their Mac up and that's it. And I think some of the kids don't know what it's like to see somebody actually play, and so it's cool to actually hear when I interview bands, like the bands that are still having people that actually do that, which is cool. I know in different situations you can't because they just, the place is too small. You don't have the ability to support that. But it's cool when you can actually play a real keyboard or have somebody play a guitar.
It's hard with finances though. Like it's hard to support a band behind you. Like I just had this conversation the other day with someone else. We were talking about different genres coming in and out of popularity and how rock is relatively dead. Of course, there's a niche for it, but it hasn't like gotten so popular that it was in inspiring pop music in a long time. Um, and we were talking about like when we think it's going to make a comeback, and I said honestly it's hard now. I'm not sure because it's just too expensive for new acts to pay session musicians now. It's really sad, especially with all the people stealing music.
Yeah.
It's you just can't compete with the electronic acts. Like you just can't like financially compete.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an electronic act, but I actually play synths. And, within the electronic music genre, there are DJs, and then there are people who do like synth wave, dark wave, modular synth music. And what's interesting, at the same time, like, Fender guitars, like, I think Gibson guitars went bankrupt. Fender's still around, but synthesizer companies that went out of business, like Moog and Prophet, that were big in the new wave movement back in the beginning of the new wave, they're all back because, like, in Europe and Asia and all over the world, there's a lot of synth bands, kind of like new wave bands, are back. And maybe they're not as big as the big rock bands because you can maybe just have two people. You don't have to have a 4-piece, 5-piece band, but they're still playing instruments. But it's different types of instruments, and so it's not all just running off a computer. They're actually playing Moogs and Prophets, and so there is some really cool stuff going on there, and that's kind of where I live. But it's not rock, it's something else.
Yeah, definitely cool. I know a lot of just like electronic acts, and then I know a lot of acoustic acts. Like people will bring like a guitar or like their keyboard.
Yeah.
And I know some bands too, just not as many as before.
Yeah, it's not the age of heavy metal where you had like, all the big heavy metal hair bands and traditional like rock, like Grateful Dead type of bands that had that kind of pull. They just doesn't seem to be that era anymore.
There isn't even really like, because like in pop there was like All American Rejects, and there was like Fall Out Boy, and there was like Green Day and My Chemical Romance that were very rock inspired, but they were still in like the pop rock genre. Like that whole pop rock genre is pretty gone right now.
Yeah, you got
kind of moved into all pop.
You got standard bearers like Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam can still pull a big rock audience, kind of alternative. Get a band like Radiohead that's very forward leaning, or a band like Wilco are still really active. But those are far and far between. I mean, those are the kind of modern bands that are still doing it. But yeah, you don't see a lot of young bands. Most of those bands all the guys are like middle aged now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's the older generation, and there's some young people that like it too. But I think just like new acts is just so, like I was saying, it's so expensive for us to keep alive that like even the thought of hiring a band behind you is like, yeah, right.
But
even for traveling,
it's hard,
right? Like to even travel with all your instruments, it's way harder.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, when I'm just a one-man band, I got 5 road cases. The overhead is I have to get a U-Haul. I have to have roadies. Even though I'm one guy, I got to have like 2 roadies. I got to have a van, and, I got to take care of that. And if I just came with a laptop, it's a lot less expensive. So my overhead is higher than somebody that comes in like a DJ. With this, like
exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, but because I want to play, I'm willing to deal with it. But I can see where a younger band was like, well, I don't need to have all that overhead, and you still can be very creative and do a lot of cool stuff. It's just a different experience,
Yeah, exactly. It's just different.
Which is cool. I mean, because you can still dance, and you don't have to have a big road case to go, do a dance or do a performance with cool lights and stuff. You can do some pretty cool things performance wise, without having like a big semi truck worth of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's letting people, I think it's actually forcing creativity at a totally different level. Like if you went back 20 years ago, bands, they had a semi, they had a tour bus, they had a tour manager, they had all this stuff. It's part of being on the label that you had all that stuff. But now people have to be a little bit more innovative and creative, and they can still do some pretty cool things. I've seen the innovative acts that don't have all that overhead.
Yeah, you can do such cool things still. It's just you have to be, yeah, like you just said, super creative.
Yeah. So I mean, sounds like you have a lot of the skill sets that can help in this kind of new era. Because like you're a choreographer, you know how to play piano, you got like a good handle on songwriting. You've been doing it for a long time, so it's like you're just waiting to get out there, and do it. And it looks like you're really starting to push it this year. That's really cool.
Yeah.
To actually see that that's what's going on. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to do more and more. Like it's crazy. Like I used to have a full-time job, and now being a recording artist is my full-time job, and I do a little bit of work on the side, freelance type stuff, but generally this is my life now. So
Well, that's awesome to hear, because that is the goal of every musician, is to be able to do it like full time, and to be able to get to doing it like 98% of the time or 90% of the time. That is like everybody's goal, that's really into it. And so to hear that, after I interviewed you, in 2017, to hear that's where you are now, that's awesome. That's really cool. Congratulations. That's really good. That's a really, I don't know, but that is everybody's goal. So everybody I talk to, that's where they want to be. And some of them are there, but as indie artists, not all of them are there. Like a lot of people still have their day job. So yeah, that's what I focus on this show. So it's cool. I think that's inspirational. So that's really awesome.
thank you. Yeah, honestly, it's made all the difference. Like when I had a full-time job, it was just like I actually loved my job, but when my dad got sick, it became really hard because then I was trying to be a singer. I was running a dance studio. That's what I was doing. And had to go back and forth to London. So it's about 3 hours from here, to take care of him. And it started affecting my work, and I just had to leave. And even though it was really hard for me and I was really sad about it, it was actually such a blessing in disguise. So much so, because it forced me to do this. It forced me to do my music, and now I'm in like such an amazing, happy place, surrounded by a huge supportive team, and because I take it seriously, other people take me seriously too. So it's really amazing.
Yeah, that's really one of the things I hear with a lot of artists. Is like the discipline of being like a musician, and then having the vision to actually translate that to finding your audience and getting to the place where you can actually do it full time. That's really like the kind of journey everybody wants to be on. And not everybody's lucky enough to find a way to get there, but they keep on pushing toward it. So that's really awesome to hear that that's what happened out of such a bad situation.
Yeah.
Because you can take life, brings you on a path, and you sometimes you don't know where it's leading you, but you always have these ideas, you have your dreams, and you kind of try to force yourself to go the way your dreams are going when you can. And it's cool that you were able to actually navigate that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy.
So like I said, this platform is really cool in that I can include the full links to Spotify and Apple Music songs. There are particular songs in your catalog that are out there right now. I'm looking at like Spotify and like You Make Me and The Last Time and Like We Used to. Are those cool for me to add to this podcast? Or is it?
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Yeah, I can do that. That's cool. And I'll send you the links as well. But so you've got like, how many videos do you actually have ready or in production that are going to be coming out?
So music video wise, I'm trying to do one for every single single. Right now, let me count. I think I have about 5 songs finished. right now, maybe 6.
Oh, cool.
So all of those should have music videos, and I'm in the studio all the time, so there'll be more. I'm also doing vlogs. So I've started filming already. They're kind of like half vlog, half kind of reality show type thing, to kind of show more of like what I do on a daily basis and like what it takes to be a singer.
Are those going to be on your YouTube channel, or are they going to be like Twitch, or are they going to be on a specific channel?
It'll be on YouTube, and then there'll be different videos for Instagram TV.
Oh, cool. So yeah, Instagram TV is starting to really kick off. So how long can those be?
I actually haven't used it yet, so I'm starting with YouTube.
Yeah.
So I don't even know all the rules with it yet or how well it's even doing, but my biggest following's on Instagram, so I thought,
Yeah. Well,
why not give it a shot?
I've seen some video capability that I've been using, and I think it's limited. At least what I've been using right now is only like 10 minutes is the max you can do.
Yeah.
But they're always increasing it. Initially when it was they only could do like a minute. Now you can do like 10. But I think they're probably going to open it up like to bigger shows eventually. But I think they're limited to like 10 right now.
I think they're trying to compete with YouTube, so I'm sure that they will expand that. They're probably just kind of doing it gradually.
Yeah, I think they want to definitely increase that. It's just I think they're kind of like beta testing it to see what the feel is for that. But yeah, it's cool. I'll be definitely on the lookout for that, and I'll be pushing it out to my blogger page as you get closer to your releases. Then we can always talk again.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
What I like to do with this show is like for everybody that's on Anchor, just to understand. I like to interview artists because I think they need to have a platform to have open discussion. Kind of like what used to happen on MTV.
Yeah.
But you don't see that as much. And YouTube, you do have guys doing this, but what I find is that when you do it in a radio format, when you talk to an artist like on the radio, which is like a podcast without video, you can get some things, you can talk about things sometimes you don't feel comfortable talking about on video. And I've been able to bring things out on some of my podcasts that I think are pretty cool, for the fans of the artist to like really get a good picture of that person. So that's just one of the reasons I do it.
Yeah, I really like it. This is the only podcast I've ever been on, so yeah, I like it. It's cool. It's really popular. I know a lot of people that listen to podcasts. So.
Yeah, it's starting to get bigger, and there's more and more platforms. Google has a podcast platform now, which I don't know if everybody knows about. Spotify has one. We have had some issues with their linkage on that, but we're definitely on Apple, definitely on Radio Public. We're on Anchor itself. But what's cool about this, it gets pushed out to a lot of other platforms, which is really cool for the artists because there's like a lot of people like to listen on different platforms, and there's multiple podcast platforms. So I'll let you know what all the links are. There's like maybe 8 different ways people can listen to this.
That's really cool. I love that.
Yeah, I get like you never know. People have preferences of which one they want to use. So it's kind of cool to have multiple options. And yeah, we're just like to push out what we can with our artists and keep up to date with them. One other question I had for you is like, we still have your recordings on Spearmint, and Spearmint's kind of defunct, but they allowed the original podcast to be saved, but they're not active. Anchor allows me to actually take those old podcasts and republish them. So is it okay if
That's
is it
awesome.
okay if I take the old Spearmint we had and like republish on this platform?
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. I think that will give people a good picture of what we talked about last time. So I can actually I include that as a segment on this one. It might not show up right away, but what's cool about this platform is incremental. So this podcast initially gets published, and then the songs get added, and then other parts of it, so it continually can kind of get additional segments. so it's kind of cool. It doesn't just stay stagnant. Either way, it gets published out, but that would be cool. So to get your old podcast, it probably will take a couple of days to get it on here, but eventually it will be a segment on this particular cast.
Awesome. Sounds good.
So is there anything you want to talk to your fans about that we weren't talking about that you think they'd be interested in?
Um, yeah, I feel like I covered a lot of stuff. Just get ready for a lot of new content. And also, please feel free to reach out to me and talk to me. I love talking to my fans and seeing what you guys are up to as well. But yeah, get ready for lots of new music.
But yeah, one feature on this podcast is there's a voice memo feature. So if fans like listen to this podcast, they can actually send like a voice memo to the podcast.
Oh, cool.
So if they have some kind of comment they want to add to, they can do that, and then you'll be able to, get to it. It would be cool.
I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of different.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are using it. I don't think they really understand it, but I'm trying to get people aware of it. So, folks, there's that capability, so you can do that if you want to try it.
Do it up. I'd love to hear you.
All right. Well, thank you, Rain, for being on again. And we get closer to your releases on the stuff you want to like push. Let us know, and we can do another one.
Great. I can't wait.
Okay. Well, have a great night or morning. I'm not sure
You
what
too.
time it is there.
It's night.
Okay. Good. I got it right. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank
So
you.
we're
Bye.
talking to Rain and this Phantom Electric Ghost, and we'll be pushing this out later tonight. And everybody have a good time out there, and stay safe. And I'll talk to you soon. Thank you. To indie artists from around the world, and we're going to talk to Rain tonight about her songs The Last Time and Like We Used to. So without further ado, let's talk to the artist, Rain. So Rain, you're there?
Yeah, I am. Hello.
Great. So we're going to try this again. We had an issue last time, but what I wanted to do is kind of like what we did last time. I wanted to discuss the song The Last Time, and then we're going to play it first, and then we'll talk about it. But does that sound okay?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to play The Last Time, and then we'll talk about it on the backside. But the ghost of you, nothing but our memories, broken dreams beneath the sheets. I never knew that there'd be a last time you grabbed my hips, that I wouldn't be the last lips you'd ever kiss. 'Cause after all that we've been through, how could I not end up with you? I never thought the last time would be the last time. How could the last time be the last time? How could the last time really be the last time? Walking through the city, down the street, every person that I meet, I just see you, nothing but you. I still have that diamond ring and worn out shirts in a box of things, that's all that's left of you. I really never knew that there'd be the last time you grabbed my hips, that I wouldn't be the last lips you'd ever kiss. 'Cause after all that we've been through, how could I not end up with you? I never thought the last time would be the last time. How could the last time be the last time? How could the last time really be the last time?
time you kiss my lips, the last time you grab my hips. 'Cause after all that we've been through, I thought it in my days with you. Never thought there'd be a last time, a last time with you.
So that's Rain and The Last Time. And so, Rain, you're back on?
Yep, I am.
Great. So I wanted to talk about, before we talk about the songs, I wanted to get into maybe like the history behind you, like your name, and then maybe how long you've been in the industry, and kind of the background before you got to this song, and then maybe talk about the video as well.
Okay, cool. So I started music. My born name is Jasmine. So I started music under the name Jasmine, my born name. And I've been doing music my whole life since I was about 4. I started taking piano lessons and I was really into music. I was trained classically originally. And then as I got older, I started writing. So I started writing around 10 or 11. And believe it or not, they were just as sad as they are now. I love sad songs. Um, and then I wouldn't call myself in the industry until I was about 18, 19, because then I started working with other artists. Before I was doing shows on my own. I had a rock band, actually, like a pop rock band, but nothing too serious. Did just a couple little shows and open mics. Then I started working with Karen Kozowski, who is an amazing songwriter and producer and friend of mine, and Emma Lee, who's an amazing songwriter herself and a singer. She's actually quite a successful singer as well now. And we wrote an EP together called The Beginning. And that did pretty well, but I didn't really know what I was doing at that point. I was kind of discovering myself and who I was. And actually, I was still going to go under the name Jasmine until actually Karen was like, "Oh, so you're just going to use that name?" And she's like, "That's cool, but have you thought about it?" And I never even thought of using a stage name in my life. Um, and then I was looking through Baby Name Book to see if anything sparked my interest. And as soon as I saw the name Rain, it's like a light went off, and I just knew that that was my name. It actually felt more like my name than my own name. At the time, I was always wearing like headbands and head wraps all the time, anyways, and like crown type things, because I just like them. And so then it just suited me. And at this point, I feel more like Rain than Jasmine, and more people call me Rain at this point than my born name. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, that's interesting as an artist, because like once you take that stage name, sometimes people see you as that person. You go back and talk to Bob Dylan. His name is Robert Zimmerman.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, his real name is Robert Zimmerman, but he changed it to Bob Dylan because even stagecraft back then, when he was a folk singer, the idea of taking a stage name, was something that in the industry was always around. It was just something that a lot of artists kind of fell into, or had management. They kind of told them they should change who they are to some degree. But a lot of times, once you become that other person, you kind of take on those characteristics even in your own life a little bit. Do you find that you are becoming more Rain than Jasmine, or you feel you're still Jasmine but you just playing a role?
I mean, it feels like it depends on who I'm with, but yeah, I feel more like Rain at this point, especially because with the beauty of social media, I'm mostly Rain. I'm very, very busy with my music, always networking and always with people. And a lot of people don't even know my real name. So yeah, at this point, I feel like I've become Rain. And if I had to change my name right now, I would.
Yeah, some people are like, Bob Dylan's famous, but he actually really changed it.
Really? I see.
Yeah,
I've thought about it actually. I was just talking to my mom about it. She's like, "No, I picked your name."
yeah, your parents are too keen on that. Most
No.
parents don't want to see their child changing their name. But the video for this song, really is fantastic. And you had mentioned the person you were working with again. So that the imagery in this video, do you want to kind of go through and discuss like the whole idea and the storyboard or things behind it, how much involvement you had?
Yeah, for sure. So actually for me, a lot of singers find the music video part kind of frustrating. But for me, that's probably one of my favorite parts. When I write a song, I always picture the video. So I knew as soon as I was sitting at the piano, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I storyboard my own videos, and I come up with my own storyline. I do have a director who's amazing. His name is Terrace. Uh, but I do storyboard and I do all the designing for it and I do all the casting. Um, I really wanted to tell kind of my side of what actually happened in my life. So this song, you know, it's kind of a mix of real life story and a little bit of just life experience. Um, because you never really know when you're doing anything, but especially relationships, when it's going to be the last time. From something simple like brushing your teeth, something so silly, or, the last time they tucked their hair behind your ear, or whatever those silly little things are, you just never realize, like, oh, this is the last time I'm going to do that. And you experience last times throughout your entire life. And that's always been a really interesting topic for me. So when I wrote the song, I knew I wanted it to be a single. And the video was so fun to film. It took hours and hours. It took like from 6 a.m. till like midnight. But it was amazing. And my co-star Jordan was fantastic too.
And you filmed
Really
that in
fun.
Canada, right?
Yeah, in Toronto.
And you're a Canadian artist, right?
Yeah.
And so, how much travel have you done outside of Canada as Rain? I mean, have you gone, worldwide with this? Are you regional to a certain degree with the way you're presenting yourself out there?
Um, well, it's kind of interesting because everything I've been doing as Rain has mostly been online. So my label for the last time, and like we used to as well, is actually a European label. They're actually from the Netherlands, and my manager is from Belgium. And now Karen, who produced the track, is in Nashville. But it's funny because I've never been to any of these places. So the beauty of the internet is I've never actually met my manager, but he does a great job. And I've never met my label head, but he's amazing. So I guess in a way, a lot of my fans are from all over the world. Um, but I don't actually travel. I haven't done a tour yet, unfortunately. I can't wait to tour.
Yeah, that's what's interesting today is like a lot of bands, they can start on like social media, like a YouTube. They could be anywhere in the world and then suddenly blow up, and then they physically start getting booked. And it's not, typical way the Star Machine was, had, go to Nashville, physically go to the record company like Motown, or, you'd have to go to these big icons and convince them to let you in. And now
Yeah.
with the social media, your fans kind of force the record companies to let you in. So
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting time to be a musician, for sure.
so you had talked about like you actually composed this on a piano, right? Initially.
Yeah, I did. I write most of my music on the piano. I love the piano. It's my sole instrument, as I say.
So when you write on the piano, how do you record it? What do you do to record it to make the demo?
So I write on the piano when I'm happy with it there. I take it to GarageBand. I'm currently learning Logic, but I've just been really busy and I haven't perfected that yet. I try to make it as good as I possibly can. And then I have like a list of people that I send my demos off to that are in the industry just to see like which ones I think are really good or what I should work on. I really like feedback. And then when I find I'm getting a lot of good feedback about a track, then I think, okay, well, this is a potential single. I should maybe look into recording it properly.
So when you record it properly, do you work with a producer and you just lay your vocals down and they do all the rest of the production?
Not really. So a big reason I love Karen is that so she's actually from Toronto. So we did record in Toronto. She has a home studio, a really beautiful home studio, and we spend like 2 to 4 days in the studio, kind of mapping out the song together. I often send her my actual GarageBand track, and she'll pull things from it and make it better.
Mhm.
And we kind of work on it together in the same room. I like to have my hands in all of it.
Well, that's really cool because a lot of people, like you said, based on the internet kind of model, some bands actually, they'll record tracks in one city in one country, and then vocals are done in another country, and sometimes they don't even see each other. So you find that actually, being physically with the producer is useful, more advantageous, to do it that way, right?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like a lot of it for me is the vibe. Like the reason I'm a musician is because I feel everything, and so like I like to be in the mode and to be in the mood and to be in the connection. Like we often record vocals at night. She actually sets up all these lights. And we have a glass of wine, and like I'm all about like being in the right mood at the right time. So yeah, I really like having a relationship with anyone I'm working on for my music.
Yeah, I find that because sometimes, yeah, I'm a keyboard player, and what I find sometimes is if I go and I write a song and I do the vocal track separate from my piano track, that sometimes I feel like I like to go back and actually record the vocal and the piano simultaneously, because I get like a more authentic feel in some cases. And some songs I'll separate it, like I'll do my vocal tracks and I'll lay the other tracks down. But some songs actually kind of require you to kind of play that simultaneously just to get the right vibe, if you know what I mean.
No, I 100% get what you mean. 100%. I don't do well, sometimes like I'll sit down at the piano before I go into the booth. Or if I'm starting to get like tired or whatever, yeah, I'll go back to the piano. She'll be like, "Okay, go to the piano," and I'll sing it through there because you just feel it more. Like I love singing and playing the piano. Like I absolutely adore it. So I totally get that. That's why live versions are sometimes better because it's just in the moment.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can get a performance that has authenticity or certain like just feel that you can't get that feel. And you could even have you had this kind of situation where you record like multiple vocals and you did like maybe 10 or 20 versions, and you end up going back and say, well, the first two were actually still the best ones.
Yeah, for sure.
And then sometimes people are like, well, by the time I got to the 12th one, it must be better. And maybe it's not. Maybe you're actually better at the beginning. So that's kind of.
Especially because of overthinking, I find. Like I'll sometimes like get like overthinking, like, oh, I have to hit this note a certain way or I have to do this. And it depends on the song too. Like if it's a super like I have a radio single, not my next single coming up with the one after, and it's like, yeah, like I wanted certain parts to be like catchy and to sound right. But sometimes when you overthink it gets rid of the magic in your voice. So
Now, sometimes as a vocalist, like you're really heavy as a vocalist. So a lot of times in the studio, a lot of different effects that are put on vocals. And so do you find that if you have to do a vocal that's very complicated, you're doing a lot of different effects on different sections of the song? So does that kind of take the fun out of it when you record it that way? I know professionally to get it to sound like radio friendly, sometimes there's a lot of techniques where you're doing all kinds of things, in the studio with the vocals. Now, are those being done like with you at the same time as your producer, or are they being done like after, or you're working together to like do the, different sections of the songs, focus on different parts of the vocal, if you know what I'm getting at?
no, I totally. I mean, generally I'm there. But she like if she's feeling something, and I'm not there, like I've gone home, she's like, oh wait, I'm just really feeling something. Then like she'll change it. But generally, it's a team effort, and I don't mind all the effects. Like I'm like a weird person like that where I think if it pleases your ear and it sounds right, then it's good. I don't care if they're well, like my songs haven't used autotune yet, but like I would use it if it really suited a song. I'm not one of these people that are kind of like a snob about effects. Like if it sounds cool, I'm all about it. But yeah, usually I'm there. I like to be there always.
Yeah, because there's a lot of producers, I mean, that like to go through every section of a song, actually use like a different type of effect on a vocal. And then it changes, going through different reverbs and digital, delays and all kinds of stereo courses and different things just to add emphasis in
Yeah.
different sections. And then when you get into the auto tune and the voicers that get put in at some points, it makes it complicated because sometimes you even have you done a lot of layering of your own voice to make like a choir of your own voice?
Yeah, actually, my next song has like a choir effect, and it's just me and, and the girl I wrote it with, Robin, just kind of like going around the room, making it sound like a group of people. I love that. Like again, if it suits a song, I think if it takes over and all you're paying attention to the effects, that's obviously not good. But actually, it's the opposite with me. I always put so much reverb and distortion. I'm obsessed with distortion.
Yeah.
And my producer's always like, "Oh my God, it's just like a big like cloudy mess." Like after she gets the demo, like I put literally reverb on everything. So if anything, she's the one that's like, "No, you don't need all these effects." So I'm the opposite. I love like dreamy, really like, I don't know, like kind of distortion heavy kind of things. Well, because my favorite artist is Imogen Heap, and she uses a lot of really cool effects. So
Yeah, it's just a lot of times, bands, going back to the Beatles, they became like a studio band, because George Martin was, the fifth Beatle, and the studio became like another instrument. And, I think a lot of people realize that today with all the tools people have. But if you go back to that time, actually going and doing an album like Sgt. Pepper with all the effects and the different things, the tape loops and all the different, radical concepts that were put out on that record, even today, kind of it's like the blueprint in terms of when you go into the studio, you don't just do it straight. If you go back to the 50s and the 40s, people just recording kind of not a lot of fancy effects or changes. But now today, people have so many different tools. Does it become like so many different things you can do that sometimes you get overwhelmed in terms of which way you're going to go on something?
yeah, definitely. There's so many cool effects, and there's so many instruments, and there's so many things you can do, and then you can create your own instruments. So it's um yeah, I'm like, I like this and I like this, and I put like a million things in it. There is too much readily available almost. When sometimes like a nice, clean, simple recording is nice. But mine
So,
are always full of stuff.
so have you thought of doing just a plain like acoustic like piano tune with like not very minimalistic for like your future albums? If you thought of like having a couple of songs that maybe not as layered and have so much modern capability, or you want to stay within that genre?
It's actually funny because every time I perform live, I do a lot of piano ballads. Like a lot of the ones that nobody's heard unless you've seen me live, are just like me and the piano. And I get asked all the time to release just like a piano ballad, Adele kind of album. My next single actually is just me, piano, cello, and violin, real cello and violin.
Oh, awesome.
So it's a ballad. There is a little bit of I asked her to add some reverb on the piano things,
Reverb.
but I love
Reverb.
reverb. I love it. But no, it's very simple. And then right now, actually, my dad is in the hospital, and he's probably not going to get better. And while I've been there, there's a piano in the next room, a beautiful piano, one of the most beautiful I've ever played, actually. And I've written a whole bunch of songs. So, and a lot of them are instrumental piano, and some of them have vocals. So I might do an album dedicated to him, and that would probably just be me and the piano. So lots of piano stuff to come.
Oh, I love that. I really like, I'm being a keyboard player, a piano player starting, then into synthesizers. I love to hear kind of stripped down music. I have my pieces all over the place, but being an electronic musician, a lot of people say, "Oh, you're just into Moogs or Hammond organs or whatever." But I like to hear, acoustic, like Dylan. I love listening to Dylan or Johnny Cash, or even So when I hear an artist, like Harley Simon, or you go back and you listen to, like a lot of the old '70s music, the Carpenters music, some of the piano work that was done on that very, kind of brings back a lot of memories. And kind of, I just turned 50 this year, so yeah, it's cool.
Oh,
to
I didn't
hear
know.
that yeah, I try to stay young, but yeah, it's just cool to hear an artist that doing that, because a lot of artists today, they're so into tools. They're so
Yeah.
into kind of like, not to put down the mentality or the EDM or the DJ mentality, but sometimes you don't see artists actually coming up with their own material. They're kind of merging what's been done, and then they create something new. To say they don't create art, but it's cool to actually talk to artists that actually, can play a piano, they can play a guitar, they can talk about the songwriting process. I like to, and so what that new song, what's the name of it? If you can tell us.
The new song, my next one's called "Come Back to Me."
What how soon? What's their like release date window?
There's no date yet. I just put a little tiny clip of me mastering it on my Instagram if you guys want to check that out at Rain Over You Music. But I literally just my manager just sent it to my label yesterday, I believe. So it'll probably be in the next couple months. I'm literally buying my wardrobe for the video tonight. So it will be soon. It'll be soon. And I'm really excited about it 'cause I wrote this one a long time ago with Emily and Karen. And I just never really did anything with it. So I'm really excited to finally get it out there.
That's cool. So you're filming that video shortly, like tomorrow?
Not tomorrow because I'm ordering the dress, so
Oh,
it'll
you're
get
ordering.
here. Yeah, but I'll probably be filming it in the next couple of weeks. And then it'll probably be, I don't want to say it. I don't know when the day will be. It's a lot of that's up to the label and like release plans, but it'll be in the next couple of months, so it'll be soon.
Can you tell us who your label is, just so people are interested?
Yeah, so the label I'm working with right now is PM Recordings.
Okay. And they're out of the Netherlands?
Yeah, they're from the Netherlands. They originated with dance music, but they're getting into a lot of different genres, and they've been really amazing to work with. So you guys should check them out for sure.
Yeah, we always like to support your partners as indie artists. It's always good to every piece of the process.
Yeah, definitely. I really appreciate the help.
No, that's why I felt like doing this. I like the whole story behind this whole broadcast is, I'm a SoundCloud indie artist, and I was found by Spearmint. The Spearmint app makers found me, and then started having me guest on this other guy's show named Rock Tunes out of New York City. And we focused only talking about electronic music. We only talked about like Moogs and Fairlights and Rolands, and just the totally heavily electronic music. And then he had to take a break, and I decided, well, I'm going to keep on doing this. It was so much fun. I did it for like 6 months, talking to him like every Sunday.
Nice.
In that format. And so then I started talking to other bands, and I talked to this punk band in England, and then I talked to an indie artist in Japan. And so I'm talking to you, and I talked to a from Los Angeles like last week. So it's just really cool to kind of get out there in the social media and it's like, I think people should interview artists and not charge them any money, because I was running to some people out there, I won't give out their names, but there are people out there that will force indie artists to pay a fee to get into a podcast or to get an interview in a magazine. I felt that that's not, people should just go out there and podcast and push it out there and force, the issue. So if you see artists and you're in a community, you put this out there. If you have this, then you do it. Yeah. So the next song I want to talk about is Like We Used To. You can actually play it, and we can talk about it on the backside. Is that cool?
All right, awesome.
Okay.
Burning down this field of myself, walking away. Don't ever wanna look back again. Wish I had stayed. Watching the leaves run up and down to the night. Ashes while I slept, dancing through the sky. They shine so bright, like we used to. We used to shine, like we used to. you. Open up around. The crackling of coals now, a painful sound. The flowers crumble and die before my eyes. Smoke and sparks light up the sky like stars in flight. It shines so bright, like we used to. We used to shine, like we used to. We used to shine, shine so bright. Like we used, like we used, like we used to. Like we used to. Like we used to. Like we used, like we used, like we used to. Like we used to. Like we used to. Like we used to.
So that was Rain with Like We Used To. And there's another video for this song as well. And yeah, I was very impressed with that video. I really liked the cinematography was going on that with that one. So did you work on the storyboard on that one as well?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that one was really fun to do. Yeah, same director. It was really fun.
And so it seems like you were able to get to be a video artist. And so a lot of artists would probably want to know how you actually would manage that as like a brand new artist to get to do these videos really well produced. Like, do you have any kind of like anything you can talk to other artists about? How did you get the ability to do such good videos at the beginning?
My advice would be to make sure that you're ready before you release anything. Because people will want to work with you, one, that are good, and they will want to do it for affordable prices because they'll want to be part of your team. And then like my social media and everything, I've been working on that for a while by the time I approached Terrace, and he's amazing and he's up and coming. So just make sure that everything you're posting is really high quality. And if it's a good song, then people will want to work on it. It did cost me money. It did. I invested quite a bit of money in all my stuff, but a lot more affordable than than most music videos for sure. And be picky, wait till you find the right director. Wait till you find the right members of your team. Don't just jump in with any person, because all that stuff is really, really important. And take it seriously. It's like a job. It's like a career. So really think about everything like you would any business owner would. Take everything to an account. How's their past work? Is my storyline even good? Who else will I need to be part of this realistically? And as long as you look at it like a business and you find a team that really suits you, then I think you'll be good.
That's really good advice. I haven't heard that. Well, I haven't talked to a lot of people who have videos out there as high quality as what I've seen from you.
Thank you.
Really, really impressive. I think that's, in this video age and this like media age, it's real important to have the right image, like you said, and to be thoughtful about what you're doing. Though if you talk on the other side of the coin, if you talk to artists that are more like coming from a punk aesthetic or kind of industrial, kind of electronic, they like different points of view when it comes to stuff like that. And I've talked to punk bands and stuff. They more like, I just wanted to do something on 8mm and kind of show up punker, It's depends on where you are, what type of artist you are. You're in a different space. So for what you're trying to do, I think you definitely have to have the kind of polish that you're talking about.
I think so. And I think it's also figure out like why you're even making a video. Like if you want to, if you don't really have a desire, you're doing it because you think you should. I don't think in this day and age you actually need a video. But I think if you're going to do a video, you should try to tell some sort of story, whether that story is like, look how cool I am as a rocker, or if it's like you want to show your experience when you wrote the song. But you don't have, like, I like videos personally, but don't just release some random video just because you feel like you need to.
Yeah, I think like the whole MTV era seemed to be kind of gone for a little while because MTV, all they did is just show TV shows instead of videos.
Yeah.
But now we have other types of social media like the YouTubes of the world. Now videos seem to be coming back. It seems to be now a lot of bands that weren't doing videos are doing videos again.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, video age seems to be coming back, and there are actually a specific MTV channel that actually do show music to TV.
Yeah.
But I think that's, for artists, I think that was a really big thing back in the day, kind of showing my age, but back when MTV first started and I was a young, fan, it was just incredible to see those new wave bands, to see the Flock of Seagulls, Duran Duran, to see all these original, new wave, new romantic type music that was coming out of England. And it revolutionized, the music industry because no one would ever really bought that music unless they saw it on MTV. It wasn't going to get played on the radio. And so I think it gives artists that probably would have never got put on a playlist a way to get out there. And I think the net is the same way. I think that as the artists to kind of break through. What's your opinion about like the way social media allows like indie artists to get through compared to the normal structure?
I think that it's amazing if you know what you're doing. I think there's a lot of positives, but with all positive come negatives. So before, like labels had all the control, which sucked if you couldn't get into a label, but labels also had more money. So if you did get that label support, they would, treat you like their own, and they'd put so much money into you, and you'd really get that support. And no one really had anywhere else but from the labels to get their music. So there's probably a lot of amazing indie artists that we never heard of just because they could not do the exposure because internet didn't exist. So what's great now is anyone can now just release whatever they want, any quality they want, and they can just put it up, which is great. But now the market's really flooded. So there's a lot more content. So you have to make sure that when you do release something, it is marketed properly, or no one's probably going to see it anyways. So it's amazing if you do it properly, but it's a lot of work. Like I spend at least 1 to 3 hours a day probably just working on what I'm going to post on my social media, planning out my next promo for my videos, taking pictures. I've learned to do makeup now for it. And I personally love all that part. Like I've always been into makeup and fashion, and I wear wigs, and I'm all about that. But I think for some artists who just want to focus on music, it can be actually really stressful and a really hard part of it.
I've heard from like rockers or guys that are more like traditional music. They don't want to go into stagecraft. They don't want to create like an image. They don't want to have a stage name. They just want to be able to go out and they're like a guitar virtuoso or a drummer that's an awesome drummer. And they just want to play like 1968 and just go out on the stage, and because you're a good musician, get recognized that way. I was like, well, you have to put some effort into promotion or no one's ever going to see you. And
That's the thing. That works if maybe you're a studio musician or you're going on tour with another band.
yeah. It's like the whole effort of just being out there. It's just hard to get attention unless you come up with some kind of stagecraft. So that kind of leads me to talk a little bit about your stage presence or your video presence and how you to portray yourself, like your whole image. Maybe you want to talk about the whole idea of like how you present as your stagecraft.
So, I basically want to take you through like story time. Like my whole image is like a queen, and it's not like I'm better than you, queen. It's more like think like Disney, like storytelling, but dark. And it's like every video and every song that I release, I want you to be able to hear my story and to be there, like feel what I felt when I wrote the song, just as if you were me. I want you to take you on a journey like story time. And I want everything to be like mystical and dreamy, and and a little bit sad and dark. And yeah, I'd say like Disney mystical would be kind of my image,
Seems
I
like
guess.
a universal kind of, princess kind of queen, regal type of thing, but it doesn't feel like you're being, ostentatious. It seems more like mysticism. It seems
Yeah.
more like that. And also it also kind of leads to talk about a lot of songwriters. It seems like pain seems to be the primary motivation with a lot of songwriters, or melancholy, or you're talking about people where like the damage has already been done, kind of this, reference to like Neil Young. And something I was talking with Brian, who we were doing the podcast, is like a lot of times artists, when you see the protagonist in their song, like the damage has already been done. There's already been something, that some traumatic event, and the first song kind of relaying a piece of that story, but the person's already in that place. And it seems like you seem to be a that focuses on the kind of melancholy, but also this kind of this image, your image of this like regalness is maybe a way to get above it. At the same time, you're talking about that in your actual image.
Yeah, I guess so. I never really thought of it like that. So yeah, that's really interesting actually, perspective.
I'm coming from a kind of this old. As an artist, I was like influenced by a lot of romantic poetry, like William Blake and Tennyson, and people were like, "Well, how is electronic art going to use William Blake or Tennyson?" But a lot of all poetry is like it's the foundation of songs. If you go back and read the old Victorian poets, and then you just adjust those concepts and you put them into music, they become songs. Like anything they like a Carl Simon would write, kind of comes from those same feelings, maybe not as verbose or as expansive as the Victorian poets, but if you kind of look at that, a lot of music, if you go back to the New Wave, the New Romantics, or the New Waves that came out of England came from those kind of perspectives and
Yeah.
idea. Of the whole kind of, if you look at the whole like David Bowie look or the New Wave look, that was kind of gender bender, it was kind of like metrosexual. It was like, it wasn't clear. You see Duran Duran, the kind of female, male at the same time, androgyny type of thing going on. You go back to the Victorian era, that's what it was. And so a lot of people don't realize that like a lot of those ideas seem to just get co-opted and brought back in thought of as being, no, this is new modern, but a lot of times you can go back to that time period if you think about it.
I mean, yeah, we recycle everything because humans can only experience so much. Things have changed, but it's definitely everything's kind of been done in a way. And we're just kind of recycling it in a new way. We still feel the same emotions and go through generally the same events, just slightly differently. And then we as artists reflect on those situations and make our art. So it makes perfect sense.
So it's so you're actually hard at work on your next project, like a full album or an EP.
So I'm actually waiting to see if I can get a grant. If I get a grant, then it should be an album. Right now I'm focusing on singles though. I think that singles are kind of the way music has gone, unless you have a ton of fans. So right now I'm just kind of doing single by single basis. I am hoping to do an album though. I've written over 100 songs and I'm like dying to get so many of them out. So hopefully an album soon, but probably at least an EP.
Yeah, this seems like in this age with on the iTunes and Spotify, the people, this generation compared to my generation initially, we were kind of album oriented. I still remember listening to vinyl and going back and like listening to Sgt. Pepper's all the way through. Going and listening to a Led Zeppelin album all the way through. That's kind of the way music was done. You take your vinyl, you go into a room, you do other things. you would sit there, and the album was not to just skip around. And it's
Yeah.
like the artists today, you see, so many people they have these playlists and they don't like the album format as much as what it used to be. So it's like it's kind of driven by singles.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating because there's good and there's good and there's bad. Like because there's so much content and our brains have literally changed, especially the younger people get, where it's like I must consume at all moments, and like people have attention spans are so short. Like now it used to be 3:30 was ideal for a single. Now it's 3 minutes. Like people cannot wait. You have to get to your chorus by a minute. People are like, oh, next thing, next thing, next thing. So the problem is that the odds of someone even getting through your whole album, even if they like you, is unlikely. And then if they listen to your album, they'll probably like it for maybe a week, and then they'll move to the next artist. And then you've spent thousands upon thousands of dollars and like all of your time for a year on an album, and people just move on. Even for big artists, like Lord's new album I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite albums of the year, and I did listen to it all the way through many, many times. But you heard about it for like, I don't know, a couple weeks, and then everyone moved on to the next thing. So it's really hard to be in a society like this.
Yeah, I mean, as an electronic musician, I kind of come from the old progressive point. Like my heroes were like Yes, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Genesis, and the concept album. And so a lot of the electronic musicians I play with, I hang out with, we're still all in the kind of space.
Yeah.
And we're not all about trying to make as much money as possible, but we're kind of more into like, we feel this type of music and we're going to write it, whether or not we have a limited audience. And within our community of the like the electronica synthwave stuff, people do actually listen to our stuff. But you know, we don't make a lot of money at it, but we still believe in that format of the album or the concept album. And so that's kind of a niche place because not a lot of kids are into that. But the people that we gravitate to, and when we play shows like in New York City and stuff, I played New York like 3 times. There's a feel for that type of music. You know, a lot of times if you play live, the benefit of being that type of artist when you have a big stack of synthesizers and you're out there and you're actually playing live, it's kind of like that's the place that music still works. If you can get in front of an audience that likes it and actually
For sure.
play in front of them, then you can keep on doing that type of music, but you have to go out and tour if you want to do that kind of work.
And tour to the right people. Yeah, I think it's hard too when it's like, where am I going to put my money? I think that's the thing. Like, if I was rich, I would release a song every single month for 2 years at least with a video. Like, I would just like work, get songs out. That's what I would do. I would still do singles, but they'd be so constant. And then at the end of the year, I'd make them into an album. So that's like my dream format. I have started making money from my music. It's kind of awesome, but I'm nowhere near at the point where I'm able to do something like that. So I'm 100% down with the albums. I love them. I actually try, even though I have not been doing a great job, I try every month or two to buy an album, like an actual CD.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then I play it in my car all the way through, and I try to pick an artist or a band that I've maybe heard a single I liked kind of, and then give the album a chance. Like, I love Mumford and Sons, and I didn't know I would, and I bought the new album, and I'm obsessed with it. I absolutely love it, and the album is such a beautiful piece of work. Single by single, I like the songs, but it's one of those albums that just flows together so nicely as an album, and so many people will never know that, even some of the people that would say they're fans. So I'm all about albums. It's just, will I make my money back from doing an album at this point in my career? Sadly, probably not.
What do you think about vinyl? Do you think that if you did something on vinyl, people would buy it, or your audience is not geared toward vinyl?
I don't know. I think it's too soon to tell because in this new era, I've only released 2 singles. It's hard to say. I do have a lot of fans that are teenagers, so I'm not sure, but it's pretty trendy to do vinyl. I like vinyl.
Yeah,
I have mixed feelings.
Well, yeah, the return on vinyl is actually really good for the artist, because a lot of times when you do vinyl, what I've heard from people, I've talked to a couple of like record company guys, is like when you do a record on vinyl, the return as an artist, you get a lot more money, and the actual consumer is willing to spend more. So the weird place in music where, you know, CD sales are going down, but like vinyl sales are going crazy. You know, Jack White, you know, is a good example. His operation out in Nashville, you know, he runs a record company now, and he does vinyl, and his vinyl records are selling very well. and a lot of artists are going to do vinyl, and there's a lot of all the small vinyl companies coming out. And when you do that, they're like the profit ratio versus a CD is significant, compared to how much an artist actually gets, and the different things you can do with the format in terms of you can have posters, stickers, these things in the 70s people liked about vinyl was, as an artist, you present things in a vinyl format where you can have all these different artistic expressions, within the package of a vinyl record that you can't do with the virtual stuff, with the MP3s and the WAV files. And I think some music fans appreciate that. And so it's just something, like bands like Radiohead or the Magwas of the world or Pearl Jams, they really are into that kind of stuff. But we noticed that it seems to be a big trend.
Yeah, I love it. I love all of the like the hard copy stuff, like all of the like I would love to do that and like write about what each song's about and like have pictures, and yeah, I'm all about it. I guess it depends on your fan base too. That's a big thing. Like you said, the bands that you named, it's probably an older audience. Not old, but not like 13,
Yeah,
15-year-olds, right?
Yeah, they're not so much into it, but like maybe the college kids seem to be into it.
Yeah.
And it's just cool if you think about it. Like, you have something in a vinyl format, you could have like a diary.
Yeah.
It's like a book inside the album. And if you had a concept that you're talking about something, you could include this diary as like a lyric book. And so that's the kind of thing in that format allows a lot of cool things like that to be done that you can do in the other formats. I mean, you could do a PDF and how many people download it,
Yeah.
It's probably not.
Probably not doing that.
People are going to not see it, and it's like, well, I don't care what it is, But you actually physically have it. It just causes a whole different thing. But I think it's just interesting to see, how art is out there, and people seem to have like romantic notions about vinyl, and saying it sounds better, and people can argue, does it or not. I think it does, but I come from the generation that used to, listen to it that way initially. But I don't know. I mean, people can argue it.
Yeah, I like vinyl. I think it depends on the song, though. Like, I think if you're gonna do, like, I think my next single coming up would sound really good on vinyl. The one after that, that's like radio friendly and kind of EDM. I don't know. Like, I think more of like a polished, clean sound might sound better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the bass sounds might not come out on the vinyl the way they're EQ today, because it wasn't, vinyl wasn't really made for that type of music.
No, definitely not.
So I think when you get to EDM, disco, techno, heavy stuff, really big bass, probably the modern mastering technique show better on an MP3 or a WAV file than they would on a vinyl. But you're talking about more atmospheric stuff, like real acoustic instruments, like pianos and cellos and violins. I think they actually do sound a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's really cool. So for all your fans, if they want to get your music, can you tell them like where they can get it?
Yes, you can get my music on any platform, all the way from Spotify to Tidal, YouTube, anywhere, Apple Music. Please feel free to listen, and I love feedback. Like, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Like, I try to get to everybody. I try to actually talk to everybody on my Instagram. I love to hear from you guys and what you guys think. So yeah, please check it out.
So what we're going to do with this broadcast is we're going to send you the link, and you can push it out to all your social media. We're going to push it out on our social media. And we've got about 70,000 fans on SoundCloud that follow us. And, so we'll push it out. And we'll push it out on our YouTube and our Instagram and Twitter, everything else. And we have a blog spot as well, where we put a page for all these Spearmint chats on our Family Electric Ghost blog spot. And so every time I've talked to somebody, I have a page that has all the conversations. And so we'll put it out there. We typically get about 1,000 to 2,000 listens. At this point, we're hoping to increase that. And so we look forward to seeing where you are in your career, and hopefully being able to talk to you maybe 6 months from now, if you're not too big to talk to. But,
No, I'd love to talk to you again. Like, this is a lot of fun.
it'd be cool. So we'll see the link after we check the file, make sure it's cool, and then you can just take it wherever you want, and we'll push it out to our place. And if you have anything you want to send me to include when I push it out, like hyperlinks or anything you have, or any like images you want, like when I push it out, you can send me, you know, like on the Instagram, any kind of link you want to me. If you want to do that, just let me know.
Yeah, it sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you. This was Rain, and look forward to seeing your new work. And we're looking forward to that new video you're working on. So, a couple, like what, a month or two, maybe the video will be done.
Yeah, I'm trying to get as soon as possible. So I'll
Okay.
let you know.
Let us know, and we'll push it out to people when it's out there. So we'll.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Well, have a good night.
Yeah, you too.